Guys, I could not be more excited to share this video with you. I've been working on this with these great artists for literally months, maybe 6 months or more, and it's finally ready. This is featuring some of my favorite guitarists in the world and some friends and colleagues of George Benson, people who've shared the stage with him. Now, before we start, I want to thank all of these great musicians. Please also thank them in the comments below. They all worked really hard on this. They all took time out of their busy schedules to participate in this, and thank you guys for doing that. Special thank you to Michael O'Neill for really spearheading this project. So thanks, Michael. I really appreciate that as well. Without further ado, let's get started. If you've watched my channel before, you might know that George Benson is my personal guitar hero. This is George Benson's guitar, and I was lucky enough to have a small part in working on one of his previous albums in promoting it. What I wanted to do with this video is really showcase the influence and impact George Benson and his music have had on the guitar and musical scene. So all of these guys I contacted, they all cite George Benson as a huge influence on their playing. And this is across different types of jazz guitar playing and styles. People who've gone on to do amazing things in their respective careers and are doing great things. And so I really wanted to take this opportunity to really show to George that we all are such fans of his music, and his contribution to jazz guitar specifically has been enormous, and we thank you for that. Lastly, if you guys want to thank George Benson as well, maybe share a personal experience with George's music that was meaningful to you, please drop it in the comments below. I'm going to share this video with his manager, so there is a chance that maybe George Benson will see this. Feel free to skip around in this video. You have the chapter markings to jump around, watch the performances that you have time for. You can hit save, come back to this video. Just treat this as a choose your own adventure tribute to George Benson. Thanks.
you. Hi there, I'm Michael O'Neill. I've had the distinct pleasure and honor of playing with George Benson and his band for over 40 years. And in the course of that time, I've got to really know all of his layers of extreme genius talent. And so I've chosen the song Jamaica from the George Benson Earl Clue collaboration record because I enjoyed the melodicism, the drama, and the ability to stretch on it as well. I've asked some of my good friend musicians, John Leftwich on bass, Lan Richards on drums, and Randy Waldman on piano to join me on this. So this is for you, George. I love you, man. Hope you all enjoy it.
made no bones about expressing the fact that George was my impetus for playing jazz guitar. When I heard him, that was it. I decided, oh, if you can do that, I want to do that. Not that, what he was doing exactly, but what he was doing, expressing on the guitar. So I want to read something that I wrote or that I said that was in an article in the Vintage Guitar magazine in 2009. And the article was written by Dan Fort, and the title is "A Master Guitarist Brings Jazz to the Masses." And so I said, it may be too hard for some to separate the two tracks of George Benson's career, that of the crossover pop star, and prior to that, the preeminent torchbearer of the art of jazz guitar of the mid-60s through the 70s. Haughty jazz purists, I said haughty, haughty jazz purists refuse to exalt Benson as a jazz guitar icon like they do Charlie Christian, Django Reinhardt, and Wes Montgomery, but I believe he should be included in this bunch. Speaking from my experience and vantage points of jazz fan, student, performer, educator, and guitarist, I can say unequivocally that George Benson should rank among jazz's most supreme stylistic innovators on his instrument and as one of the music's elite improvisers. No jazz guitarist ever has had the combination of melodic imagination, rhythmic freedom and accuracy, harmonic depth and adventurousness, and technical facility that he possesses and demonstrated on his numerous Columbia, Verve, CTI, and early Warner Brothers recordings. And I can go on to say that he continued that the level of excellence into the 90s and 2000s, and incorporated the use of his thumb, which, he developed that technique after these 80s records, and developed that thumb technique, picking with the thumb to the hilt like nobody else has that I know of. Yeah, we love you, George.
What's up, everybody? It's John Storie here. I am so honored to be a part of this series that Chase has put together for the great George Benson, the heavyweight champion, as we all say. George is my hero. George is my favorite guitar player, hands down. He encapsulates so many of my other favorite guitarists, and he's just, it's hard for me to put into words exactly how much his music speaks to me. I love George's sound, his articulation, the way he swings. Everything has a connection in his playing back to the original guitar players in jazz and even other guitarists like Hank Garland. And so I love George's playing. And the first record I ever heard of his was an album called Tenderly. This album was recorded in 1989. It's produced by the great Tommy LaPuma for Warner Brothers Records. And the record has a lot of string arranging on it, but it also has a couple tracks where he plays just in a small group featuring the great McCoy Tyner. He does I Could Write a Book. He also does At the Mambo Inn, and then he does Stella by Starlight. So I'm joined here by my colleagues here at the University of Oregon. They decided to pitch in and play some of the background fills. We did a little arrangement off the cuff that sort of brought some of the elements of the horns that were on the original album. And this is just kind of my take on this. I'm going to play a couple of George's ideas in my solo, but I wanted to take my own solo on it. And again, this is, I think, if I were to stack this up, this might be my favorite George Benson track, is Stella by Starlight from the album Tenderly. So thanks for having me, and thanks for watching, and shout out to you, George. You're the greatest, man. Where would we be as guitar players without you, man? All right, here we go. 1, 2.
Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you might like some of the other collab videos I've done on the channel. If you want to get more George Benson content, check out some of the lessons that I've done on some of his techniques. You can check out those right here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. And thanks for watching.